The story we're tracking, music mogul Sean Diddy Combs on suicide watch at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center.
I saw the aftermath, the bruises, the busted lip, knots on the head.
Combs is prone to violence, that he's a flight risk, that he poses a significant danger to the community. Lawsuits have been filed by inmates over the conditions as well, because back in 2019, inmates filed a $10 million class action lawsuit.
That same employee mentioned that Cassie security video, saying, "I was surprised by the level of violence that he had toward Cassie in that video."
New allegations against Sean Diddy Combs. An attorney says he represents 120 accusers who've come forward with sexual misconduct allegations.
The arrest and detention of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center have thrust the rap icon into a drastically different world from his glamorous lifestyle, facing severe charges including sex trafficking, coercion, and organized crime activities. Diddy's current situation paints a stark contrast between his public persona and the troubling accusations surrounding him. As his legal battles continue, Combs' journey through the justice system may have far-reaching consequences for his legacy, reputation, and future. Diddy's legal troubles escalated following a lawsuit from his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, who claimed that he subjected her to years of abuse, including physical assault and forced participation in exploitative activities. Cassie's allegations were quickly followed by numerous others, bringing forth a troubling narrative of alleged long-term abuse and manipulation.
And just a day after music mogul Sean Diddy Combs was accused of sexual assault and years of abuse in a new lawsuit filed by R&B singer Cassie, word of a settlement overnight. ABC's Morgan Norwood is here with the update. Good morning, Morgan.
Hey, good morning to you, Ariel. Though Cassie and Diddy did not detail the terms of that agreement, the settlement quickly shuts down the potential for a trial and the process of legal discovery. That's when evidence in the case is often made public.
I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop.
Overnight, hip-hop mogul Sean Combs settling a bombshell sexual abuse lawsuit filed by his ex-girlfriend, fellow singer Cassie. Cassandra Ventura writing in a statement, "I have decided to resolve this matter amicably on terms that I have some level of control. I want to thank my family, fans, and lawyers for their unwavering support." Combs, known as Diddy or Puff Daddy, adding in his own statement, "I wish Cassie and her family all the best. Love."
We going up, we going live. Can't stop, won't stop, told y'all.
The settlement just one day after Ventura accused the singer of rape, domestic violence, and sex trafficking, citing controlling behavior that she says lasted over a decade while she was signed to Diddy's record label and the two were in a romantic relationship. In the lawsuit filed Thursday, Ventura alleged that after the two met back in 2005, Combs lured Miss Ventura into an ostentatious, fast-paced, and drug-fueled lifestyle and into a romantic relationship with him, and that he used illegal substances and threats of violence to force Miss Ventura into repeated, unwanted sexual encounters with male sex workers. Combs denying the allegations, his attorneys describing them in a statement as riddled with baseless and outrageous lies, aiming to tarnish Mr. Combs' reputation. And right after this lawsuit was filed, several artists and entertainers have voiced their support for Cassie. Ventura's attorney saying in a statement Friday, "I am very proud of Miss Ventura for having the strength to do so, to go public with her lawsuit. She ought to be commended for doing so."
The allegations detail instances of freak-offs, in which Combs reportedly organized and filmed intimate gatherings without the consent of those involved. Federal investigators, seeking substantial evidence, conducted sweeps of his properties, reportedly seizing digital files and recordings. The case has prompted discussion about potential racketeering charges, a serious development that could result in extensive prison time if proven. This sudden downfall has brought forth deep-seated criticisms of Diddy's conduct, with many close to him revealing the powerful, fear-based influence he reportedly exercised over those around him.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor.
Diddy's legal team, on the other hand, has sought to restrict public discussion of the case, pushing for gag orders to silence his accusers. However, Cassie's legal team argues that if Diddy's family can publicly support him, his accusers should also have the right to speak out. This dispute over who can speak publicly highlights the increasingly polarized public view on Diddy's character and the severity of the allegations against him.
Rap mogul Sean Diddy Combs was hit with 7 new civil lawsuits alleging sexual abuse. The mounting legal battles come after federal prosecutors criminally charged him last month with sex trafficking and racketeering. Combs' lawyers asked the judge overseeing the criminal case for a gag order against Combs' accusers and their attorneys. An attorney for the accusers said the civil claims of abuse were made by 4 men and 3 women over alleged misconduct in New York, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas, dating to 2000, but mostly in 2022. Some lawsuits said other, unidentified celebrities also assaulted Combs' accusers. The 54-year-old faces at least 24 civil lawsuits accusing him of sexual misconduct. Combs has denied wrongdoing. He has also pleaded not guilty in the criminal case and is appealing his more than month-long detention in a Brooklyn jail after being denied bail twice. The new lawsuits compound the legal problems for Combs, who, according to prosecutors, coerced victims into participating in sex acts against their will, bribing and intimidating them into keeping quiet, and employing his staff to hide it all. In one new lawsuit, the plaintiff, Jane Doe, said she was 13 when Combs drugged and assaulted her at an after-party for the 2000 MTV Music Video Awards in New York. Another accuser, John Doe, said he was a 17-year-old aspiring makeup artist making small talk with Combs at a 2022 party. He said Combs drugged him with a drink and later assaulted him. In response to the lawsuits, Combs' lawyers referred to a statement addressing earlier lawsuits, saying, quote, "In court the truth will prevail, that Mr. Combs has never sexually assaulted anyone, adult or minor, man or woman." Combs faces a May 5, 2025 criminal trial on 3 felony counts of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution.
It is a starkly different life from his days as a music mogul. Now confined to a 6'8" cell, Diddy spends 23 hours a day in isolation with minimal personal belongings: a bunk bed, small desk, sink, and metal mirror. Meals are basic and pre-prepared, a jarring transition from his former lifestyle, with typical options like oatmeal, peanut butter sandwiches, and processed foods.
His team has also cited terrible conditions, rampant violence, multiple deaths. Diddy's team even requested at one point to transfer him to a different jail in New Jersey, but Combs' attorney Mark Agnifilo indicated at a previous court hearing, quote, "We're making a go of the MDC. The MDC has been very responsive for us." Not entirely clear what that means, but putting that to the side. To give you an idea of what we're talking about at the MDC, we talked about this on a previous sidebar. In September, 9 inmates were charged regarding a series of attacks from April to August at the MDC. This included 2 inmates being stabbed to death and another inmate being speared in the spine with a makeshift ice pick. A correctional officer was even involved in a shooting at a car during an unauthorized chase. Lawsuits have been filed by inmates over the conditions as well, because back in 2019, inmates filed a $10 million class action lawsuit over frigid conditions during an 8-day blackout. R. Kelly ended up suing the jail for wrongfully putting him on suicide watch after his sentencing in 2022. Sam Bankman-Fried, you remember, the disgraced FTX founder, his attorney said that he survived on bread, water, and peanut butter because the jail didn't provide him vegan food while he was there. And apparently the conditions within this facility are so bad, they're so severe, that at least one judge refused to impose a prison sentence if it meant the defendant was going to be confined at the MDC. Back in August, U.S. District Judge Gary R. Brown of the Eastern District of New York sentenced Daniel Colucci to 9 months of imprisonment after pleading guilty to charges of tax fraud. But in a written statement, Judge Brown said if the BOP, the Bureau of Prisons, opts to designate the MDC as the relevant facility, then the imposed term of imprisonment will be vacated. And in its place, the defendant shall serve 9 months of home incarceration with electronic monitoring. Judge Brown reportedly highlighted even further examples of the MDC's failings that had occurred just in the 5 months prior to his opinion. That included a situation where incarcerated individuals were forced to provide medical care for one another because prison staff was just not available. MDC's panic button was inoperable.
Diddy is housed in protective custody within the Special Housing Unit, SHU, due to his high-profile status, keeping him separated from the general inmate population to reduce security risks. Each movement within the facility is closely supervised by several guards, as he faces the constant possibility of being targeted due to his celebrity.
What we also know about Diddy's stay at MDC is that he's in a protective care unit for his own safety. So that's different than general population. Can you explain that a bit to me?
Okay, so when you talk about what we normally call special housing unit, so there's two types of detention in terms of being in special housing. One is administrative detention, and I'll go back to that point here in a second, and then disciplinary segregation. Disciplinary segregation is for individuals who have been went through a disciplinary process for an infraction of the rules and regulations of the institution, whether it be in a fight or any other acts that go against the policies of the institution, the orderly and safe running of the institution, and that is for a specific period of time. What Mr. Combs may be in as far as administrative detention is when someone is under investigation for a possible infraction against the rules of the institution, or they could be in protective custody because they may fear of their life, which is a question probably would have been asked of him once he was in his intake process. Additionally, we're talking about someone who was high profile, who was just arrested here less than 3 weeks ago. So in terms of who are the other inmates in the institution that may or may not be someone who could be a threat towards him, in terms of the possible alleged victims, could they have ties to the victims? In terms of his discovery that he's going to need to look at with his attorney, inmates are allowed to have a certain amount of legal materials in their cell, and all this alleged discovery that he's going to have to go through. You don't want to have other inmates having access to his cell to go in and take a look at that discovery, because there's a certain amount of legal materials that each inmate is allowed to have in their cell. So there's several factors that come into play when it comes to administrative detention.
Initially placed on suicide watch, Diddy was monitored around the clock by MDC staff to assess his mental stability as he adjusted to the restrictive environment and weight of serious charges. His confinement sheds light on the harsh realities of high-profile incarceration and the ways in which fame provides no relief within the justice system. Diddy's legal team has made repeated attempts to secure his release. So far, these attempts have been denied, as judges remain unconvinced that Diddy's release would be safe for the community or witnesses.
Larry Levine, who served 10 years in 11 federal prisons for racketeering and other charges, says it's no surprise judges are repeatedly denying bail to the wealthy rapper beyond being a threat.
Simple. Guy's a flight risk. What legal purpose would it serve to give him bail? He's in a detention center. It's like a federal jail. Those aren't for your comfort.
And Levine says that system has likely put a guy who's been living a large Hampton-style life for the past decades into shock mode.
He's not in general population. He's in a secured housing unit. They might leave him in a special housing unit for years. Imagine living in your bathroom 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you're getting your meals through the door. There's no internet and there's no computers. He'll get some visits, but it'll be abbreviated visits. They'll give him a Bible. Maybe he'll look for salvation. He's protected.
The federal government's case against Diddy is growing more serious with each new accuser. The addition of RICO charges would place Diddy in the same category as figures prosecuted for organized crime, signaling an escalation that could make his case one of the most high-profile celebrity legal battles of the decade.
New allegations against Sean Diddy Combs. An attorney says he represents 120 accusers who've come forward with sexual misconduct allegations. He expects to file civil lawsuits against the rap mogul. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky is tracking the latest. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning to you, George. If these lawsuits actually come to pass, Combs would be facing sexual misconduct allegations on an unprecedented scale. This morning, new disturbing accusations against hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs from a Texas attorney who says he represents 120 alleged victims, men and women, whose allegations span more than 30 years.
The biggest secret in the entertainment industry that really wasn't a secret at all has finally been revealed to the world.
The accounts of the alleged victims, some of whom were children, have not been fully vetted, but their accusations involve the kind of drug-fueled recorded sexual assaults described in a dozen previous civil lawsuits and the criminal case against Combs.
What shocked me most was that it was going on openly in front of other people.
If convicted, Diddy could face decades in federal prison. Legal experts suggest that a plea deal might be on the table, but only if Diddy can offer significant information or cooperation, which seems unlikely given his public stance and insistence on innocence. However, as more evidence surfaces, including potential video documentation of his alleged crimes, the likelihood of Diddy's exoneration diminishes.
And those statements include descriptions of what the witness says he saw on those tapes. So I asked him about that, and he answered what he could, given the limitations imposed on him after testifying before the grand jury. Out of those 8 videos, 8 celebrities, 6 men and 2 women, how many of those 8 celebrities were close to being underage or potentially underage?
2 males.
2 males. And of those 8 celebrities, how many of them were intoxicated or under the influence of drugs?
This is going to be all speculation. I just want to preface it by he wouldn't know if they were. Right.
Sure.
Appear to
Let
be.
me rephrase it.
Based on, yes.
Understand. Out of the 8 celebrities who were recorded having intimate relations with Sean Combs, how many of them appeared to be either inebriated or intoxicated or under the influence of drugs?
All of them.
For years, rumors about Diddy's alleged abusive behavior were ignored or downplayed in entertainment circles. However, his downfall highlights how powerful figures can go unchecked in the industry, using their influence to manipulate and control those around them. Former associates have described a culture of fear that allowed Diddy to act with impunity for years.
Toxic, but just, I mean, this is illegal behavior.
Even more shocking allegations now being revealed against P. Diddy, as former employees now allege he was physically violent, emotionally abusive, and toxic in the workplace.
This is someone who wants his inner circle to be very tight and for people to be around. And so the comfort level with that also comes with the comfort level of the physical abuse and violence. So it does not surprise me that he lays hands on his employees as well.
These former employees say Diddy grabbed, berated, and threatened them, alleging he had uncontrollable violence and created a culture of fear. These accusations, eerily similar to those we've already heard. Could all this be a pattern?
And someone doesn't just strike up that behavior once and then never do it again. That is someone who has some deep-seated anger and problems with how they express themselves.
Once celebrated as a trailblazer and influential icon in the hip-hop industry, Diddy's legacy now hangs in the balance. Kanye's words remind fans that Hollywood's glitz and glamour hide a darker reality, and his outspokenness has brought those issues into the spotlight. Whether or not Jay-Z and Beyoncé will respond remains to be seen, but one thing's certain: Kanye's warning has set the stage for a dramatic chapter in the world of entertainment.